Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap Review. This is going to be for Vikings Season 6. Slight spoilers here, but I'm going to be more talking about things in generalities here, talking about the entire season of Vikings, what I thought about it. I finally caught up watching 20 episodes total, or was it like 40? Was it each season? Yeah, 20 episodes total. Catching up on the final season of Vikings. And it's over. The series, it does have a spin-off series coming to Netflix, which should be interesting to see what direction that takes. But I'm not alone. I'm recording this live as part of a roundabout, kind of a roundabout. It's a roundabout. So we're going to talk about Vikings here, Season 6. And I'm going to get all into it here. I feel like Vikings took a nosedive after season 2 or 3, but I was really surprised with how good season 6 was, says Analysis. I will warn you when spoilers come in, but this is basically going to be a non-spoiler review. I will have a separate review when I talk more spoilers. This is generally very generalized review. So if I'm going to say anything that's spoilery, I will definitely tell you. But let me just say, generally, I'm going to say I agree with Analysis of Thrones. My opinion of Vikings Season 6 as a whole, this is the best season since Ragnar died. Both of them. I would say Season 6-1 is a little bit better than 6-2, but as a whole entire season arc, I enjoyed this final season of Vikings much more than I enjoyed Seasons 4 or 5. Like incredibly a lot more than Seasons 4 or 5. I thought the character of and I'm going to mention a character, but I'm not going to get into it, specifically the character of Prince Oleg really kind of felt like brought me a little bit more of what I originally liked about the show. I think he had this zest to the way he was playing the character because of, I'm just about to say that about Analysis as well, because of the road of which Ivar had to walk this season. I feel like his character was a lot more palatable, and I feel like the actor himself has gotten way more comfortable within the role of the performance. He's not just one note. I agree with the people that say early Ivar is just all the time Ivar. You get that this season for sure, especially the second half. But the first half, Ivar is charming. He really brings a lot more of that Travis to the performance. So I got to say, his relationship and his dynamic with the character Prince Oleg, I think carried the season for me. Also, in the second half of the season, everything with Ubbe was really well done. All that Ubbe story I really liked, brought a lot of tears to my eyes. I did not care quite as much about Kattegat stuff by the end. And without spoilers, you guys, the ones that have seen it, will kind of know why. Do I need to watch the shitty seasons or I can just jump in? I think you can just watch Last Time on Vikings and get kind of like a one-off of what happened. A lot of the season 5 is just Ivar being in charge and making everyone's life shit and then eventually losing when there's and someone else becoming king. You know, so I mean, you can kind of yada yada that, and I think the way Vikings has always worked is you can kind of watch it at any point. There is important stuff in the past, but they always remind you in the previews. The previews of Vikings do a really good job of kind of setting you up where you need to be. But watch it all, dingus. As Dworkin says, I'm gonna say it in the nice way, Tom. Walk it all, dingus. Give me them spoilers. Give me them spoilers. Give me them spoilers. You can watch a good YouTube sum up of it all. But again, I don't know how you guys have to say. I do think the final season was done really well. I do think that they were able to sort of somehow capture a little bit back of the magic that Vikings had early. For me, it might not be for everyone. I was talking to Joe the other day, and he is so no Ivar. He's no Ivar, Ivar the Boneless, fuck him. I'm never watching anything with Ivar the Boneless in it again. So someone that's kind of that set to it, I could maybe not go far down that road. But okay, but back to the kind of talk. Hivstark was probably the brother I didn't like the most going through everything, and I feel like he's the character that had the most sort of confusion in his arc through the season as well. I feel like they lost things to do with him. He had a couple of interesting storylines, but there was one thing in particular that he got involved with that sort of pissed me off. I liked it when he kind of went into the other direction and sort of had his turn, but it's still really he wasn't necessarily my favorite part of the season, and he ultimately tops out as my least favorite of the Ragnar sons on the show as they're depicted. So it's not to say he was horrible on it. I do like his second half story arc that had some association with Ivar. I feel like their relationship was very warm at times, and you could see the connection between the two of them, but I had trouble. I just had trouble really caring so much about his arc. Bjorn, amazing right until the end. Bjorn was excellent on the show, and the actor put in a great performance, and as especially through most of season 6 up until, Did you see him on the battlefield? Yes, with the 2 axes and going crazy. Yeah. Oh, he was great at the end of the season. And again, every part of this final season, I just want to be clear. If I'm being nitpicky, it's because of personal preference. I feel like these final 2 seasons, or season 6 as a whole, was top form Vikings. Yeah, I think it was not quite as hypnotizing as the early stuff because Travis is just so captivating as a personality. I'm not even going to say as an actor, but there's something captivating and fun to look at and engage with Travis, and I think he brought that fun to Vikings, and Floki as well, and Rollo and Lagatha's character, the character at Lagatha. I think they all have such great presence as actors on screen that sort of carried through. And in the original season, you had D'Artagnan as the Earl, and Siggy, that actress that's been in everything too. So you had some sort of big name kind of stuff starting at the beginning. The end half of the show felt like the kids taking over a little bit. But I feel by the end, all of them, Hivstark included, felt like full-fledged adult characters that were people I got to know and generally wanted to care about. So I'm only saying without saying spoilers, there's a moment that happened with Hivstark that really bothered me and made me angry that he did that. So he's on my shit list. Those of you that have watched it should know what I'm talking about. That fucking bastard. She was never anything but nice to you. 40 episode miniseries would have been better and more History Channel style. Finish this off by saying that Viking season 6 is an extremely entertaining season of television from beginning to end. Ivar is humbled and made a much more palatable character that I enjoyed watching scenes with him. And by the end, he was probably the character I cared about most. Him and Ubbe. I think Ubbe and Lorvi, their relationship is really well done, and the actors both have extreme chemistry, and they as well bring a little bit of that Lagatha Ragnar dynamic that you get from the early part of the series with their just they have really good chemistry, and it comes through on screen. Ubbe is probably my favorite of all the Ragnar kids in the way he's depicted on the show, besides Bjorn. I think you almost have to take Bjorn out of the equation because he was been there since the beginning, even though it's not the same actor. But I think it was generally a satisfying conclusion. I could get a little nitpicky with the ending point, but it ended at a decent point where you kind of felt like it needed to end, and I enjoyed it. I can make up some golden, amazing ending that I would have wanted, but I generally got an ending that felt conclusive, felt like an entire book-ended series, and I like it. I think it was a grounded season and a fun season. And I think if you enjoy Vikings and you kind of swayed away from it because you didn't really like parts of season 4 and season 5, if you just left after Ragnar died and you were kind of watching the show just for Ragnar and you saw these kids and you're like, I can't like any of them, I'm not going to say this is going to win you over. But if you were sort of like wanting to get into it, but Ivar's screaming was annoying you a little bit and the storylines were a little stale, you felt like. And I want to say something that's a slight spoiler. The reintroduction of Alfred was great. And Alfred was really awesome in his appearance this season. And Alfred's fucking queen was a fucking badass. And I enjoyed her moment that she had in the episode as well. I thought Alfred was portrayed really well throughout this series. And I'm glad they got the same actor come back. I believe it was the same actor that played him at some point in time. And I think seeing his process as a character too, even from afar, worked well. And I think, yeah, I enjoyed that. So yeah. Spoiler over. Vikings season 6, good stuff. Better than the last two, for sure. I still think those season 1 and season 2 and season 3 are Vikings at its best. You know, it's hard. It's going to be hard to beat that for most people. But I do think season 6 is the closest thing you're going to get to great, the show being at that top form again. I very much loved it. Torvi and Ubbe really did get along well. The loss of their daughter, yeah, it really did bring them closer together. So last thing, and by all means, people in the chat, feel free to ask Vikings questions throughout the show. I'm going to get into another show eventually, but in these open areas, feel free. So everyone, if you enjoyed this discussion about Vikings, please check out the channel, subscribe. You can see the long form video if you would like, or make sure you're subscribed to the channel to be able to see me go live and leave a question or comment. Please do it. 781-990-8509. You can do that anytime you want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you so much, everybody, for checking this Vikings video out. Talk to you next time. Later.